You are live, it says right there. I just read it. It says you are live. So I am here. In a moment, I'm going to bring on SHARON ROLPH. Excuse me, I apologize. She's known as an influencer at 77 years old. She's very energetic and very fun. I think it's going to be a great conversation. Mainly the conversation as we've been talking about on our advertised, our information we send out. She's on basically has learned. She retired from Boeing in 1916, and over that time she had to fill something in her life because stuff changed. Obviously, right? We all know. We all kind of go through that ourselves, right? Not kind of. We all go through that ourselves, and so it's a perfect, timely conversation to have because this is about the middle class and as specifically the aging of America and by extension the world. So join me in bringing SHARON on, and let's have some fun and learn some good stuff here. All right. Hey, I've seen you before. How are you, SHARON?
I'm good. It's been snowing here this morning, so yeah, it's kind of chilly.
Hey, are you in California? No, where are you at in the I just assumed that when you said Pacific, because that's where I'm from, is California. Where are you at?
I
didn't look at
north of Seattle.
Go ahead. Oh, I was born in Seattle. So yeah, you get snow up there. Absolutely. I was born on the Air Force Base just south of Seattle. Yeah, that's it. That's it. My dad was a Marine, and so we traveled around a lot, and that was one of those places, right? Eight elementary schools and 3 high schools in almost every state now. Wow. All right. So enough about me. I talk about myself all the time. You got to cut me off and say, hey, I'm the guest here, Rod. So SHARON, tell us about you.
Well, I was born in Anacortes.
You did what?
I was born in Anacortes, Washington.
Yes.
And Mount Baker was on my back porch. That was my mountain,
Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. Talk about a vision, right? You just put a scene in our head. That's beauty right there.
Yeah, Mount Baker to the north, Mount Rainier to the south, Olympic to the west, and Cascades to the east. When I transferred down to Tampa, Florida with GTE, the phone company, I got lost one day. I was going to an appointment, and I said, well, I can't figure out where I'm going. There's no landmarks. Oh, well, we use the sun. Where's the sun? It would be behind the clouds. There weren't the north and south, east and west, with your location stuff. So at 8 years old, we moved to Eastern Washington, and we started scrubbing out raw land there to plant pinto beans.
Eastern Washington, that's the desert side, right?
Yeah. As soon as you go over the mountain past the summit, there's the sun.
Yeah, it's a different world there.
Yeah. So we wound up planting apple trees, and yeah, we stacked hay and milked cows and slopped the pig.
I want to do that. I've always wanted to be on a farm. Go ahead.
Gather the eggs, we had steak in the freezer all the time.
Making me hungry, girl. Making me hungry here.
Chickens every year to put in the freezer. So, there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of work. While I was still in Anacortes, though, my mom had me sit down and drill the flashcards, 3 + 2 = 5 kind of thing with my older brother and sister. And
I remember those.
Yeah, just instead of just, listening to them, I thought, well, I might as well learn what they're learning. So by the time I started first grade, I was staying after school to read the reading books for the second grade so I could skip second grade.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I was a lifelong learner at a very young age.
Yeah, no kidding. There's people in this world that live life a little fuller to a more degree. In other words, more information, more knowledge, more ability to experience things. And when you start it, would you say two? Did you say 2 years old?
No, it's probably more like 3 or 4 because
okay, 3 or 4 then, but you're still like in your first couple of years here. People aren't usually doing that, and that's a thing that's a real problem in today's world is we're not preparing ourselves for what's coming in the future. What do you say?
We're trying to with AI, but oh man, things are changing every cotton picking day. Okay, so
yeah, and it's going to go more faster too with AI. So go ahead.
The feeling of irrelevant is starting to set in, heavy. Okay, so I actually, while in Anacortes, I wanted to be invisible.
Yeah, I saw that on your thing. What does that mean?
Well, there was sexual abuse going on in our home, and I said, if I double down, get focused, don't rock the boat, be obedient, get good grades, I might be safe. So
I hear you.
It wasn't until I retired when I realized I was still feeling invisible. In my career, in the bottom of my gut, I felt invisible. I was diligent. I was responsible. I got, promoted somewhat, but it
at Boeing, right? You talking about being at Boeing then?
Well, I was only at Boeing 8.5 years. So I was 19 years at GTE. Us 3 years.
Okay, so that's where. Okay, so GTE first and then Boeing. I got you. Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I transferred down to Tampa with Boeing. No, with the GTE, and then I got brave enough to leave GTE with an incentive to leave pay because I felt like I had more to offer than what they were paying me for. Well, that was a dicey kind of move, but I believed in myself. But I wound up being, starting at the bottom of the ladder again. And I moved myself to Dallas, Texas, was there for 12.5 years.
Oh, love Texas.
That's where I delivered mail for 3 years. And that was
wow.
kind of fun. Hey, but no kidding. So I had the muscles for, carrying those trays of mail.
You got your steps in every day, didn't you? Now I try and do that, but I mail people, especially then,
Yeah,
a lot of activity.
I was a rural carrier, and so we had to find all these places, new places. I was being a temp was a tough job, but
oh yeah.
I remember I had just been on the job a couple of days when 9/11 happened. So, and the anthrax,
really,
anthrax was coming on, and
yep.
So eventually, I had a friend at church that strongly advised me to come back to Seattle. She's Mexican, and they have a strong tie, for family.
100%.
So I came back. My first job was at onlineshoes.com before the Zappo days. And then I had a chance to hire in at Boeing. But I had to do 40 hours of training for no pay for a month before I got there was an incentive to hire people just before I walked. Well, I guess it's the same time, but most of the people that hired in for that incentive quickly left.
Oh, really? They
Yeah,
put in their time and bailed?
yeah. The instructors were telling us that they didn't stay long. So how bad did they want a job?
That's not an uncommon theme, is it?
Yeah, what about principles and disciplines and wanting to do a good job? Anyway, I was there 8.5 years. 4.5 years was on the production floor for the 777 second shift. And I got to walk all, that's where I got my steps in, is that I walked all over the factory. Second
Yeah.
shift.
Okay. Yeah.
But what was interesting about my career, even though I had the strong sense that this wasn't aligning with who I really was. You do work. A lot of people work because you got to pay for the roof and the car and the education. Well,
Absolutely.
I got my education there, night school mostly or weekends. Um, so I got my master's degree in behavioral science, but the the and I loved books. So I liked, and when I read books, I often find nuggets of gold. And so I collected these words of wisdom and eventually turned them into beauty. But um, the the college classes and the books helped me recover from the sexual abuse that I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. I was telling a podcast last week that I left the dinner table one night because I decided I didn't want to put up with being ridiculed and called blue elephant.
Blue elephant, what does that mean?
Well, you're blue jeans on a farm, and I was
Okay.
always bigger than anybody in my class, even at first grade.
Oh, man.
So I was glad I skipped a grade because I was smarter and bigger than the kids behind me. So
Yeah.
Dad called me back to the table and said, "You come by your size legitimately. Both your parents were less than 5 foot. They were 5'6" and 5'2", and I was
Oh, wow.
5'8".
Wow.
And he said, "Well, both your grandfathers were like 5'11". So it was legitimate, but um, why parents need to call their kids names, I don't know. Did you
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
insane. No, no, no. I was the perfect parent. In all cases, in everything I did, no matter how I did it, it was always perfect. You can ask my sons, but I won't let him answer you that really back. I just had my son on the last show. Actually, my oldest son. He just gave me his first grandbaby. So yeah, I know, isn't that cool? So we're trying to build the show together so I can work in other places besides Illinois. You talked about the mountains in that. I can sit here and watch my dog run away for a day and a half, just straight flat. Obviously kidding, but it's straight flat. There's no topographical in the world. So Sharon, let's get into, how did you find your spark after retirement? Great question. Truly inspiring. We got a lot of questions here for you, Sharon. So let's pop these off as we go.
Okay. The week before I walked out of Boeing, I started coaching class because Boeing had actually January, they had sent me an email saying that they were partnering with the community college here for coaching. And it seemed like a natural progression of what I was already doing at Boeing, which was trying to empower people. And in that first class, they asked us to
taught this class? You taught this? You attended the class. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we had to go to class with a couple papers, exercises done. And one of them was to, for example, list 20 things you love to do. Well, that's easy to do. 20 things. Yeah, 20 things. And then they asked us what was getting in our way and what was working, like our habits. What habits get in your way? Then they said they
Right.
we had to answer about 11 questions around all the um, chapters
About
in
your passion,
well
what
life.
you in,
Yeah, dreams and hopes and fears. Well, hopes and fears, hopes and aspirations and wishes for your career and your reputation and your wealth and your family. And there was 9 categories, so that was a little tougher. Then, but that starts opening up. What's my aspirations in all these areas of life? What's
is that the first time you is that the first time you experienced that kind of went through that exercise? Because it's now obvious the human being uh accomplishes what it thinks, and by vision they that's connected. Is that the first time you did that? Because that would have been, I don't know, I'm terrible at dates, but how long ago was that Boeing was doing that? That had to be
well,
leading edge.
they didn't pay for this. They knew I was walking out the door. And they said, no,
Oh,
no, no.
was this you privately or in a group class?
It was
Even privately.
group class. I'd say at least half of the class was Boeing employees, but they were getting
Wow.
paid. Boeing was paying for their education because they were still employed.
Yeah,
But I think I'm a good investment, actually.
absolutely.
Exactly. So by the time we were finished with all this invisible assets put down now on paper, then we crafted all these words into a metaphor. I often think of a metaphor like a parable. It's a story
Mhm.
with images. And so here's what. Oh well, let me set the stage. They had us standing in a circle to read to each other, or what they called essence statement, which I've now called spark or inner spark. And I noticed that some people were kind of, as they were coming my turn. And when it came my turn, oh man, nobody's ever asked me to define my soul, is what it felt like. Here's what I read.
Absolutely.
I am precious jewel of wisdom. I am colorful collaborator, motivator, and learner. I am tranquil, authentic, and pure inspirer. I light fires. I want to teach everybody that what's the best version of themselves from the inside, and it's becoming um, kind of critical that instead of going to your financial planner for your retirement planning, they are
Mm.
also starting to demand the emotional aspects around retirement, because there's this big transition. I think in the things that cause stress in our lives, like buying a new home and uh, moving places, retirement is in the top 10 of that whole change of life kind of thing. So
Pretty darn traumatic too, right? You're literally a whole 360 in the opposite direction now, where humans are social beings. We talked about that. You don't have that, that energy from the people at work anymore, much less a schedule, right?
yeah, so you don't have a reason to get up in the morning. I like to put, your calling cards tell you who you are and who you work for and all that kind of thing. You don't have a title. Rod,
Yeah.
you get to live from your heart now instead of your muscle and your brain. And you're the um you're you have a, see, how do I say it? It's your time to shine. Well, you might have been able to do some of your work from your heart. You could have had some sense of purpose in your employment or your running a business, but now um, you you really need to figure out how you're going to be the boss of your social energy, your mental energy, your physical energy, your emotional. I have a graphic I've been using. There's 5 areas.
And your curiosity and your aspirations, those should raise more, right? It's more relevant now. You've got time to do all the things that you haven't yet done, and depending on money, but it's about like who is that? Ariel says, share great energy, by the way. That is awesome. That's because it's not how much you live, it's the quality of your life while you're living, and having the energy you have, and having the obviously the experience. And how do you stay motivated at 77? Well, I'm really behind on the text here, so let's get a couple more questions answered.
Motivated. Because I am inner directed, I get to choose how I live my life. Since high school, we were so told to wear the right shoes, wear the right jeans, have the right hairdo, and it's all externally motivated. Well, now, knowing my DNA, my essence, my inner spark, I get to make decisions, and they feel a lot like heaven on earth because they fit me so well. It's like wearing a perfectly fitted suit, that I am now aligning my choices with what fits me.
I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's such a calming feeling when you get to the point where you've got life experience, and things aren't as shocky or as unexpected in these days. But that feeling you said, it's like a weight coming off your body. That just happened in the last year or so, and part of the reason I'm doing this. But go on. Let me get another question in here. What discussion is golden? What is the first step in embracing your courage?
Well, courage kind of came from as being in the Queen of Courage.
Exactly.
Some of I kind of was in the right place. Well, okay. First, I did do some podcasting myself. I did 52, 56 episodes, and I invited people in and do them just like you.
Like what we're doing here, yeah.
I decided when I decided I was going to stop, I thought, well, my last session, I want to talk to somebody about courage. And don't we all need courage? So I was shocked when I had to ask like 10 or 12 people, who can you recommend to be a guest for talking about courage? There's something wrong with this if people don't know who's in their circle of friends are courageous. Well, the guy that came on he had a doctorate in divinity and a doctorate in, well, actually, I don't know what. He's got a Reverend and Dr. Robert Nicholson. And
I think I've heard of him. That sounds familiar.
Well,
anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he was one of he was a tour guide kind of thing through Montana on the train. He was a soccer referee for like 30 years. He just goes on and on with being a very smart and very quite a nice man. He's 91. I had lunch with him just before Thanksgiving, and but fascinating man. Yeah. So he came on to talk about courage, and then somebody in Brazil was trying to help teach a class of middle-aged people English. So his class was just to listen to people talking English. So I talked to them about courage to be, courage to have, courage to do. And it was one of their favorite classes. And
that's awesome. I mean, how were the people in these classes?
Well, in Brazil, they sounded like they were about 45 to 55. They were.
Look what Jack says. It's never too late to shine, right? All right, go ahead.
Actually, I am considering being a candidate for a senior Miss America pageant. I don't know about that. But
Oh,
I am so healthy. I've never spent a day in the hospital, never had diabetes, never had cancer. I kicked fear out of my life a long time ago. And that, besides having good supplements, having peace in my heart, you know, and doing, somebody asked me, well, how do you feel when you speak? Because a lot of people are fearful or whatever. And I'm doing my job. So
yeah, but you've got you and the answer to that question before, you got the sparkle and it's contagious. But the other question is, how do you take your first steps in courage? That obviously depends a lot. Like your background as it was, you became more capable in confronting obstacles. And I mean, because you're built, you grew up that way, unfortunately, bad thing, but taking something out of it, you have versus the person who never, they have a silver spoon in their mouth kind of thing. There's not much courage it takes to grow up in that versus
right.
you.
Well, come to think of it, probably where I started having courage was in my college classes. I remember coming back from probably one of my undergraduate classes on a weekend, and I would kick the back of my chair mentally to participate because I'm an introvert. I even
What?
even
Hold on here. Stop. I had the same argument. I don't know if you've seen any of our shows, but there's a partner of mine. It's Rod Duff with producer Barbie. And she always says she's an introvert. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You are not an introvert. I mean, right?
well,
How do you define yourself as an introvert?
where I get my energy from.
Oh, so you're fighting. That's why you're so energetic, because you're fighting those concerns or fears or whatever it is that to be able to come out and talk to people. The 700 people here. What the heck are you doing, man? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I started kicking the back of my chair
Yep.
to put something out on the table in a meeting because there were other people with with fear and trepidation, not willing to be authentic. And I decided that I would, if I got courageous enough to put on the table what they were thinking but not saying, then we'd be all better off. And
100%.
yeah, so the podcast last week, they pointed out the fact that I was speaking for others. That incentive to help them, because facilitation is strong in my psychic, I guess. I like to help other people be successful. So me speaking up for them and putting on the table their truth that they're not willing to say help the whole crew. So the and because I even in when I was in the college classes, I remember distinctly having the courage to speak up for the people coming behind me. So there's a part of me that was willing to be a model for others, and this world sure needs that.
Oh, it does. 100%. I like to say this comment because this show is about the concerns and the desires of the great middle class. Big old 200 million or so people, and then by extension the rest of the world, or at least the rest of the civilized world, let's say. But being prepared is always important, and being, knowledgeable about stuff is always important. But I remember when the mobile phones, internet, the computer all started. People that are my age were then my age. At the very beginning, there was a huge bout of depression amongst aging Americans because they were now outside of society. I mean, more. What did you say? What I love your saying. Invisible or not seen, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, not seen and unheard. I never did felt heard. In fact, I had a chance to be with the top guy in our building. I don't remember what his title was, but there was about 15 that got to be in us room with him, and he was he expected us to ask him all the questions. I wanted so bad to speak up and say, "Do you have questions for us?" But I never had the courage to. I kept sitting there and wishing I could have the courage, and I didn't. But I will never forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's not easy to speak up. By the way, just real quickly, hey Emily, how you doing? I kind of know her. Thank you for the show. Yeah, say hi. Hi, are you waving? All right. We got almost 800 people now. What the heck is going on? It said your sparkle is now it's 800. Your sparkle is contagious. So this is a very exciting thing to go through. So thank you, Emily, again. From Delaware. Don't know what that means, but thumbs up from Delaware. Gotcha. There it is. You are in the know. You're in the vibe. You're in the, doing the things that are now, and staying with current lifestyle, right?
Yeah. What this graph is helpful when you get all these emotions from your job. The projects you're working on, and the things you're getting accolades for, and the people you're having meaning, why you're there, that sense of accomplishment. Boy, that sense of accomplishment. I started bouncing off the wall when I retired, and how do I know if I'm productive? There's no boss to keep busy. Keep happy. Actually, yeah. I know where he is. He's working in Moses Lake at Boeing there. So you have to be engaged in controlling your schedule, because your alarm clock, it may not wake you up anymore. Yes, you need to catch up on your sleep, but that structure to your day, people lose their sense of identity. And maybe you did get purpose from your job, but your job went away. What's that? I don't know. I guess a meaning would be your purpose. There's actually a graph. This is. So you take each one of these letters with the positive emotion, and make a list of here's how I got that sense of feeling from my job. Now, how am I going to replace that in retirement? So
it's a little exercise what you developed here. Yeah.
And I wanted to answer the question. I do have my Discover Your Spark, Rekindle Your Joy recorded on some.
What was the question? I'm sorry. Which?
Well, it's back.
Were you referring to a different one?
Yeah. Discover Your Spark, Rekindle Your Joy is my course on the Great Discovery platform. And we walk you through those exercises, which I had to take to class when I started coaching class. But knowing here's another. Why is it important to know yourself better? You can't see all this.
Yeah, that one's going to be a tough one. Do you have that like in a electronic form that you could put it into the text? In the chat? Do you have something to copy and paste?
I
While
might,
you're doing that, I'm gonna say hi to a person, KB here. He's we had a show week, I think about a week ago or whatever it was, but I don't know if you've ever heard of Creighton, but as a supplement, you talked about supplements before. Fascinating show, and he's whoever was this guy in the last interview. He obviously is very excited about that. He was an introvert too until he started helping others, like you're doing. Creating that meaning in life, right?
yes, yes, because purpose is the secret glue for retirement. Okay, let's see if I can do this.
Oh, they're going over the top here, Sharon. You're going to make people's head to explode. Sharon is a legend. The show is pure gold.
Not yet. Let's see.
You got our whole lives to build a legend, right?
Well, I've been planting a lot of seed. If I put this in there, where'd that number come from? Yeah, this is. I have it on a PowerPoint slide. Maybe I can just copy the whole slide. Let's try that.
If you copy the slide and paste it, that should work. Because you can edit it's your own PowerPoint, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see a copy option. Oh, wait a minute.
Just click and drag.
Oh.
And sometimes it'll say select all. I don't know what your system is. Not that I'm an expert or anything, but I have done that quite a bit. A lot, actually.
Recent slide. Background. Well, you got to do something new every day, right? Okay.
Well, you know what? Why don't at the end of the show, what I typically do is have a discussion. You're in the green room again, and I talk to the audience about updating stuff. And the last show we did just a couple hours ago with a mathematician, he had some information to lay down, and he copied it and pasted it there at the end. But this way we can talk and let people gain information, but definitely do copy and paste that in there. See, people are calling you, telling you the same thing I'm saying.
Okay, so pure gold, cool. Well, if I all right, what's another?
Just where you were as far as how do you keep motivated on a daily basis? Motivation is a choice. I think we're naturally more happy than sad, but there's statistics that say it's the other way around. How do you in this golden year every day get up and stay motivated? And it may not be every day, because I know some days I just want to lay in bed and pet my dogs. Okay, talk to me. What is that? Is that your book?
Fresh Courage in Retirement, Finding Purpose, Essence, and Fulfillment. This is good for any age, but it is a do-it-yourself. I ask at the end of every chapter questions, trying to poke you a little bit and say, do you remember how this fits for you, or how you had a similar situation? Because
of the example that's in that chapter, you mean?
Yeah, sort of.
Yep.
But this on the wall over here. Well, no, I guess it is this one. I
thought you were pointing at your hair. Is there a piece of paper in there? So it's over there. Over there. What does it say?
Well, I am weird in that I have enjoyed listening to people's near-death experiences. And I've started realizing
that's interesting.
Most of them come back with these messages. You are enough. You are infinitely precious and worthy, and there's not a place you don't belong. You are lovable. You are loved. You are love. So I have imagined standing in heaven. I now know 3 people who had near-death experiences, actually. But I've imagined standing like they experienced, and assuming I wanted to feel that atmosphere in every cell of my body. And how would that change back here? Life here. And I don't know that it does, but I feel like when I know myself, my spark, my DNA, my essence, that every day feels right. It's what matters to me. So when you're inner directed and aligned with those things that are the best part of you, every day feels like heaven on earth.
So basically being honest with yourself and honest with the inventory that you are, and not, you were describing me there because I went through a thing a little bit ago and so forth, but I talk about it in my podcast. I'm spending most of this time talking about me, and I apologize about that, but it's so relatable because, I recently, within the last less than a year, I call it, I'm taking the mask off. I've been hiding behind a mask my whole life. And now, again, the reason I do this show is, and a book and this and that, it's because I haven't been honest with myself. And producer Barbie helped me through that. I mean, she's known me almost 20 years. So she knows me better than I know myself, right? Go ahead.
So go ahead.
What makes me sing? What makes me cry? What makes me dream? What makes me excel? What makes me different? Okay. Is that a daily discussion?
No,
Like a reading back?
But it helps you start thinking and being honest with yourself, maybe. That it's things that move your heart. I do have on the Great Discovery short little ebook, but I charge you for it because it's priceless. What Makes Me Sing is the name of it. And it's 40 ideas of what you could choose to do as you're looking towards retirement, is like plan to follow the monarch butterfly migration from Mexico.
Oh God, that's amazing, isn't it?
Or touch the water in the 7 oceans.
That's creating goals, right? You're talking about creating goals here. Look at you're so motivating. Thank you for making the term "age is just a number" true. So yeah, I mean, create the storyline here, the example or the takeaway, the lesson is to create, in this next life. I mean, it's like your second life. It's you have kid time, you're a kid and it's carefree and, just fun. Then you have the middle part that's work, struggle, build, make money, provide for families. And then now this is the reward. Yeah, exactly. This is the reward for all of that you've been doing. Let me see. Somebody else. Go ahead. Stop. Is that for me talking?
The biggest lesson I can give you today, Roddy, is to stop living your life based on fear.
Excellent point.
I've imagined holding this up like 4 inches from my nose to stop living your life based on fear. We are getting so much fear thrown at us from every angle, or distractions, whatever, too. But when I moved to Tampa, Florida, I went through a little bit of a crisis there that I my friends up here, when they sent me down there, goodbye party, they said, well, give yourself 6 months before you turn around and come home. Homesickness. And 3 months,
Sure.
I've got this, this is going fine. 4th month, not so much. I hit the wall, and I thought, well, I need some help. What am I going to do? And so I got out my Bible concordance and looked up the word courage. And Joshua chapters 1 and 2 has all kinds of verses about do not be afraid, be of good courage, be of great courage, do not be afraid. And I started stomping my foot and saying, I refuse to live my life based on fear. That is the first move I want to encourage everybody to take, because unless you control your thoughts, you do not control your life.
Yeah. There was a guy I talked to a little while ago, not that long ago, but he similar thing. Control your thoughts so that your thoughts don't control you.
Yeah. So one of my daily habits, Jack, is to, before I get out of bed and before I go to sleep, I pray for 20 people. And I'll put the same list of 20 people, but the thing that keeps you awake, that spinning your mind a lot, is worry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And worry is spinning your wheels. It's getting you nowhere. It's that fear thing, wondering, So Dan Zadra, I got that from him, and he started the Compendium Company here in Seattle. But prayer helps me not spin my wheels. That I'm wishing the best for all these 20 people. I'm and oftentimes the beauty, my intuition kind of kicks in and says, Sharon, don't forget to, call this person or do this job tomorrow, or I get these little messages, like I needed a subtitle for, I don't know if it's my book or what, but here you listen and the message will come. And maybe you've been, on vacation, you've been watching the campfire burn, and this little voice starts talking to you, or you're watching the ocean out there, and you're just sitting quiet, and sometimes the messages are pretty scary, because you've got a hope and wish you could do that, but you're scared to. Well, one of my other blocks I do is you'll know the next step once you take the first step. And
I like that.
Yeah, this is another one I think is pretty powerful. Never underestimate the power of a planted seed. I'm planting seed today, but that little voice in your head, in your heart, is planting a seed too.
Yeah.
And there is a farmyard principle that planted seed, that there's a harvest for a planted seed, that the harvest will come. And I'm planting seed in good soil. Yeah.
So it's like the Bible says, you reap what you sow, right? And you're planting seeds or sowing seeds into a valuable, rich earth.
Yeah. So, any questions about fear of retirement, or these long?
That was weird. That was a glitch. Did you see that? Are both at the same time? Our cameras turned off for flash second. So we've gotten through. Look at all those, man. You just lit it up here. We've gone through. Do you see anyone that we think we might have missed? Aw, I'm fond of you too. Yeah, I'm not a good prayer, but I'm a good talker. Because I I've never gotten a rhythm into it, but I talk to God at least every day, if not several times during the day. And that's kind of new. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. You got it. I mean, you have the things. Where can people get in touch with you to kind of learn these examples on like a website? By the way, before you answer that, there is, and I don't remember the name of it, but I saw some of your podcasts on the Something Broadcasting Network. Is that yours?
I've been on a couple. Well, one.
No, this was on your show. It was you were hosting this show about I don't know, but the lead up had like several commercials, and then it now coming from the God, it's in the other office. Dang it, I wasn't planning on bringing it up. But do you work within a network of people?
Well, not currently. Matchmaker is my network, but I was on the second series of podcasts I did was on Transformation Talk Radio, and they do still have my recordings out there. And
Yes.
my audio only was on Spreaker, and a lot
I like
of
that name.
yes, and the YouTube has I'd say at least half of my audio video podcasts out there.
What's your YouTube address?
Just SHARON ROLPH.
Oh, like mine's at Rod Duff 1939. I gave myself a plug there. At Rod Duff 1939. That's where my YouTube channel is.
Well, I'm branching into becoming a national. Even today, I'm investing a lot of money into being getting a new website. I am currently fairly active on Facebook. I put lots of words of wisdom out there, challenging you to be your best. They are building a lot of things, bringing things together that were kind of separate in the past. So my website is in the process of getting updated too. They said 2.0, effortless vitality 2.0. So there'll be a lot of changes happening here soon. I'm starting to get a sense that maybe I should become a circuit rider to the senior living places that need a sparkle, a motivation, courage to. I mean, a big part of this, Rod, is being a lifelong learner, right?
Yeah, be curious all your life. I call it, I'm a curious person. Be curious. There's a famous saying, be curious, not judgmental. Actually instilling that from the Ted Lasso show, which is basically very well done. It's very funny, but it's a positive attitude thing. Be curious, not judgmental. Walt Whitman.
Well, I remember it wasn't him. Well, in fact, when I went out to Facebook to look at something that was said that there was people that had been on the Senior Miss America pageant on a Facebook group, and
Oh, really?
What I found scared me.
Really?
They looked so plastic, so phony, so put together, and not authentic. So
changed by surgery.
Yeah. You know, I got a set of dentures, and that's about as fake as it gets. but I know I have a message, Rod, and I would go to share my message. You know, that living heaven on earth is just such a awesome feeling, and I intend to live 100 years. You know, and be heard might be the reason. You know that my older brother and sister have passed on, my mom and dad have passed on, and yet I'm here, and I must have a destiny.
Yeah, it's I like to call it you were there's still, I got in a motorcycle accident about 2 years ago, and then I had a stroke and a couple other things. But what you're saying right now is you still have a purpose. You're here for a reason, your purpose. My belief is this became my purpose. I started this back in May. And I just like listening to myself talk. So all right, any last
smiling doing it too.
yeah, I like to have fun. And since I'm a one-man band here and it's not making any money yet, you got to have fun. But I'm really excited about the messages that come on this show, the things that people are learning and obviously interested in. I mean, you've been on shows before. Do you? The chat questions are well constructed. So, any final thoughts for you, Sharon?
Well, I usually like to share a line from Thomas Wolfe. Besides discover your spark, rekindle your joy on the Great Discovery platform. But Thomas Wolfe says, if one has a talent and fails to use it, one has failed. If one has a talent and partially uses it, one has partially failed. If one has a talent and finds somehow to use the whole of it, they have gloriously succeeded and won a satisfaction few people ever know.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful, Sharon. Thank you so much. You're a great asset to the world. What you're doing, your mission is important, and we always love to support that because our goals, our mission, you and I and other people is aligned. We're here to make the middle class successful and all the way through their journey of life. Sharon, thank you again. I appreciate it. I'm going to send you back to the green room. Sorry, I just love saying that stuff. I got no green room, but have a good one. Wave goodbye. Appreciate it. There we go. Sharon, she, God, it'd be so fun to live by her. I bet you it'd be laughs all day long. I mean, as somebody who's been around for a little while, they tend to get sluggish or like she said, uninspired. Well, she's obviously very inspired, and it's very exciting to see that. It's exciting to know that, if you exercise and you keep a positive attitude and you keep your vision, your purpose alive and moving towards that, no matter what speed. I talk about having a quality of life versus the amount of life, quality of life. She's figured it out, man. You're talking about the ability to go through your life and knowing that the retirement age is actually the good thing. So many people go into that and, like Sharon said, their identity is lost. They become invisible. With that, folks, I'm Rod Duff. Producer Barbie's out in California. We were talking in between shows here. So I don't know if she came on. She was on the last show. I didn't look, but go say hi to somebody, shake somebody's hand, make sure the vibe that you're going into, the area that you're going into, the vibe that sits there, make sure that vibe is improved by your coming in and that energy, never bring down the, read the room, right? So I love you guys. Love you very much. Insights in Straight Talk on YouTube. We're at Rod Duff 1939. Subscribe. I mean, this is on fire. But I want to be able to do this from, I got a granddaughter in California and one in Texas. So like to get that moving along. So with that said, people, let's build this channel together because it's important. But I think, no, I believe, and I've been told that for my whole life, I kind of fought against my destiny, some of that mask. I was a different person. I sales and business. I took the safe route. Let's all learn from each other to, as Sharon said, be honest with yourself, take your inventory, live your life free of the burden of not being introspective. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great night. I am going to try and get out of here a little early. We've got a lot of sleep going on out here, but send your reactions. I'm going to put in my email again here because a lot of times questions will come in afterwards. And if they want to ask about Sharon's expertise on this, I'm going to email her it so she can get back to you guys. I've had half a dozen of those. So, and trying to work it back and forth and copy and pasting that message gets to be a little tedious. So with that said, I love you all. Have a great day. Have a great night. Say hi to somebody. Make the world a better place. Bye for now. There you go. See ya.